Good evening.
Hello.
Hello. I think we can give maybe 2 more minutes for people to join and then we can get started.
Yes, of course. Good evening, good afternoon for some,
Yes,
like
good
me.
afternoon. Good morning.
Perhaps it's morning for someone. Yeah. It would be nice to see where the people are joining from. So I'm in Zagreb, capital of Croatia, European Union country.
Yeah, I'm in India. So Asia, for us it's evening, but I'm seeing people joining currently from the Philippines, United
Oh,
States, United Kingdom,
nice.
South Africa, Ethiopia, India, Nigeria, Indonesia, Romania, Iran, Uganda, Saudi Arabia, Kenya, Uruguay, Egypt, South Africa, Italy.
Nice
Welcome, everyone.
diversity. Nice diversity. Thanks.
Pakistan,
Thanks for
Oman.
joining us.
Yes, thank you, everyone, for joining from all over the world. France, Brazil. Very exciting.
A lot of destinations that I would like to visit.
Yes, it would be nice to have a visit. So we will start this session on time now. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Editage. And we have a session today on how research drives policy for a sustainable future from bench to blueprint. I am Radhika Vaishnav, and I'll be moderating the session for you today. I'm a manager at Editage of the content and editorial. And we have with us a very distinguished guest, Eva Grabarich Andonovsky. And Eva is the editor of the Food Technology and Biotechnology Journal at the University of Zagreb, Croatia. She is also currently serving as the vice president of the European Association of Science Editors, Croatia chair, and she's the co-chair of Environment and Sustainability Committee. We are very excited to have her here on the panel. And she will be happy to also have some interaction from the audience. We look forward to hearing from all of you as well. So, welcome, Eva.
Thank you very much, and thank you for warm welcome and for the invitation. I'm very honored to be here with you all, and I hope that we can discuss these issues and be in touch even later. So I would. I can share, Radhika can share my contact details with you if you will have some specific questions later regarding editorial work or the sustainability or something else that is bothering you. Uh,
That's
I,
wonderful, Eva. Yes.
I would like to also add that I am the president of the Croatian Association for Scholarly Communication, which was established in 2019. So we are also doing a lot of education and training for editors and researchers. So just to, if I will mention something specific for Croatia, that is the reason why I'm mentioning this. So yeah.
Wonderful. So, why don't we start with talking a little bit about? So, we get a lot of early career researchers who come to us at Editage. So, one of the things that I do is manage Editage Insights, which is our platform where we interact with researchers and we try to educate them and inform them about getting published or different current events and things that are happening around the world that can help them in their research. And one, we get a lot of questions from our community, from the research community around the world, about how to align their research with climate and sustainability policies and priorities. So, first of all, how do you think that researchers can design their studies better so that they can align them more closely with current global sustainability goals or national climate agendas?
Yeah, so thank you for the question. Well, this should start early. So when you are doing your research, you should consider this in advance. Of course, since you're at early career stage, that it should be something that your mentor should point out, and also that you should be able to learn during your education at a higher education institution. Although I am aware of the fact that some of the curriculum, including in Croatia, is not keeping track with the progress, so it needs to be updated. And there are some curricula which are related to SDGs and have implemented SDG related content, but unfortunately not in all countries. I would say that first, it is always good to get acquainted with the UN Agenda for Sustainable Development and with the 17 goals, which are not usually when people are thinking about sustainability, they are mostly thinking about climate actions like, I don't know, clean water, sanitation. No hunger, no poverty, etc. But these are not only goals which are relevant. You should also consider quality education, reducing inequality. Of course, there is a room for industry and for innovations and infrastructure, for responsible consumption and production, especially if you're coming from the journal like I am, Food Technology and Biotechnology, which receives a lot of submissions regarding either innovations or responsible consumption and production, and a way how to reduce the shortage of food. Yeah, so as you can see, we have a poll in which you can scroll down to see the answers. How relevant are SDGs for today's research? So this is a general, your opinion on the general situation with SDG, whether you find it relevant or not. It will be interesting to see what the majority of you feels.
Yeah,
Then,
please
if
scroll
you're
down. Yeah.
Yes, you just need to scroll down because you have several answers. You can you can answer from very relevant to not at all relevant. You can think that it depends on the field, or you don't know. Everything is acceptable, of course, and there is no wrong answer. So just click, please. And actually, you can map your research to specific SDGs. For that, you can use some tools. There is, for example, in European Union, there is an SDG mapper tool. Although I try to it's a nice tool. You just need to log in and then you insert the text and it shows you which SDGs are related to your text. I have tried it on the text about kitchen waste reuse because it's some topic which is now relevant for our journal at the moment. And actually, it showed me that it's related to responsible consumption and production and zero hunger. But then I was thinking, okay, let's ask ChatGPT because it's interesting to see how AI will detect how many SDGs. And actually, it was much better in the work because it also pointed out that the relevant SDGs are climate action, industry innovation, infrastructure, sustainable cities and communities, and life on land. For some of them, I cannot agree, but for the rest of them, I could say that it expanded my view. I need to point out that you can use AI tools for things like this. But if you are doing a research study design, then you should be very careful not to use AI tools unless it is acceptable at your institution, at your funding organization, or in journals to which you wish to apply later, submit your manuscripts. Because a lot of people are not aware that some policies do not allow you to, some institutions do not allow you to use AI tools to a substantial extent for the research. You can use it to some extent for data analysis, you can use it for text polishing, you don't even need to report it, and for reference management, etc., and also for mapping SDGs. But just to point out that this should be taking into considerations. And You can also use platforms. There is a platform Dimensions AI, which you have like a free version at which you can search to via keywords and SDGs that you wish to map your research to. But the free version is only for publications and datasets. If you want to search project patents and project calls, grants, etc., then you need to have a paid account. But at least you can use the free one to find the research which is available, so you can compare whether your research is something new and if it adds more to the value. So also, please be aware of your national policies. That's also very relevant, especially if you are funded by the national organizations or agencies or institutions. For example, in Croatia, since we are part of the European Union and we have uh, currently green and digital transition in the focus, so this is the most relevant research that is being funded at the national level at the moment. It's not the only one, of course. And the second agenda is to expand regional growth. But in some other countries where there is a shortage of food or water, etc., of course, the focus will be on different SDGs. So that's in short what you can do to more steering to the anticipated anticipated results. Yes. Do we have we closed the poll? Yes, I guess.
Yeah,
Do we
let's
have
take a
the results?
let's see the result. Oh, there's a new poll up as well. And in the meantime, I'm taking a look at the previous one's result.
Okay. Okay. This is these are
Yeah,
the
this is,
results.
thank you.
Mhm.
Yes. So we
How?
have,
Yeah.
yes, you can see.
I can see that the most majority is finding this very relevant. That's
Very
great.
relevant.
Actually, that's great. I would like
Yes.
to see these results each time. So this is a very aware public.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
And no one says not at all relevant. I mean, there's someone where some people have said they don't know and would like to learn more, which is okay. That is a
yeah,
good mindset. This is a great group we have here. So it's lovely. Always keep an open mind. I'm very happy to
yeah.
see this.
And
Yeah.
I would say, depending on the field, that is something I had a debate with my colleagues from humanities and social sciences. And actually, they told me that they're not finding it that relevant for their fields, especially field of humanities. And after
Okay.
discussing with them and including them in some activities at our Environment Sustainability Committee at YEAS, they organized a special issue from one of the journals from the field of humanities, which was excellent. So it was very interesting to see how different authors and researchers coming from different fields like arts and etc. were actually approaching the SDG topics, and that was a beautiful special issue. So I would say yes. I know that you are always thinking more about the STEM field or technology, but also you can be included if you are coming from the field of humanities and social sciences as well. So especially social sciences are very much in the focus of some of the movements which are involved, which are involving
It's
SDGs
wonderful
as
to
well.
know. I think also nowadays there's so much of cross-disciplinary research going on as well. So you can bridge and you can have hopefully the future will see more and more of that. So let's take it out
Yes,
of our silos.
yes, and there are actually more and more like a major groups working together. So this is also there is a lot of collaboration between different countries and research groups and different fields as well. So I think we are evolving in science. It's not that bad. At least in
So
some things we are evolving. Yeah.
it's a
Regarding
great.
climate change, we have not managed to do the expected reduce of global temperature rise. As we can see, it's very hot in Croatia now, and it's like it was never like 38 degrees Celsius in June. But yeah, it's a new reality for us, so we need to adapt.
Yes. Do you think that also, similar to this audience, which is very aware of sustainability, obviously, do you think also funding is there a change in priorities? And do you think that researchers should change the way they approach funding as well?
Yes, definitely. There are a lot of calls which include SDG. For example, in the European Union, there are very relevant Horizon project calls. I have also applied with a group of journal editors and publishers from EASE. Unfortunately, we didn't receive the funding, but it was a good start for a joint collaboration. We are now trying to explore different like cost. Cost projects are more related to infrastructure. So we have in Horizon projects there is a sustainability criteria, and it's aligned with the European Green Deal. So Europe is trying to be like a climate neutral country by 2050, which I think is very ambitious, but still needs to be tried out. And they are actually taking into account criteria when they are evaluating research for funding, such as environmental impact, climate neutrality, alignment with SDGs, and also there is mandatory do not significant harm to the environment, which is very, very good. And U.S. National Science Foundation is funding also, they have environment sustainability program, which is more for the United States-based researchers, but also for the researchers who have some cooperation with the United States institutions. There are some private foundations like Bill Gates and Melinda Gates Foundation. They're also funding research related to SDGs. So I think actually a lot of institutions and organizations has joined this trend, and it's not only trend; it's really need to change things and to be more aware about not only environmental crisis, but as we can see with all the things going on around us, with the shortage of food and clean water, and with raising inequalities. Unfortunately, not all have approach to all the resources. So this is also relevant, and you should, if you want to be funded by such organizations, then check in your own country. Perhaps there are also, I guess there are also some, as from the list of countries I can say, I'm sure that there are some funds in most of the countries. And what is important, you need to monitor the progress that you are achieving, which is something a bit tricky. You need to have a baseline of your activities, and then when doing the research and the research output, see if you progress in reaching SDGs. That is very relevant, of course. To you need to report on the progress, and when you are trying to design a study and apply for a fund, just consider what would be the possible outputs, and is applicable in any way, is it contributing to the resolvement of sustainability issue. And of course, I must say, for our early career researchers here, provide enough details in the methodology so the research would be reproducible. As you perhaps know, we have a reproducibility crisis. There was a study among Elsevier's journal, which was published by my colleague Mario Malički, who is at the University of Stanford. He's actually from Croatia, and his colleagues, and they found that not many journal articles are changed from the submission to the acceptance, which is, unfortunately, I have to say, partly because of the poor editorial practice. It's not that all the articles were perfect, but other investigations show that almost 80% of the research is not reproducible. So you need to be careful to provide enough details to be able to repeat, not only you, but anyone who wants to repeat your study. So these are the things also important when we are talking about SDG related research.
So a lot of this applies, you wearing your editorial hat, a lot of the same things apply, when you're looking for submissions and, trying to figure out whether they have addressed
Yes.
impact.
Yeah, when we are talking about submissions are considered like significant, uh, that is actually, well, you need to be aware of the following. For example, in our journal, we are receiving around 600 to 700 submissions annually, and we can publish only 60 submissions in 4 issues per year because of the lack of finance. We are a small academic journal. We don't have finances. Well, we have some, not many. We don't have staff. So it's quite different when you submit into a journal like ours, and if you're coming to a journal which is published by some major publisher. Of course, there are a lot of resources, there are much more issues or articles per issue. But since we are in Diamond Open Access and we are not charging APCs, there is a lot of pressure from, of course, so everyone wants to publish. But you need to select, and that's the major problem. Sometimes you need to unfortunately return some manuscripts which could be publishable if we can publish much more. So don't be disappointed, first of all, and don't quit. You should try and find some other journal who will accept your submission. But the things that I'm struggling sometimes to find, and our field editors as well, and sometimes reviewers even, is sometimes the way the manuscript is written, it lacks focus. You need to explain what is significant, what is your contribution to the field, what is the knowledge gap you want to I would say reduce or to bridge, and you should communicate it. And you will be surprised how many cover letters with the submissions are we receiving from which there is nothing in it, or it's some kind of figure and some signatures. So although we have instructions on how to write the cover letter, and we have even some templates, but I think researchers are not paying attention to the cover letter. They don't find it significant, but it's a good way to communicate with the editor directly and to draw attention to your research. And one thing is which is all researchers are showing, that actually people are reading summary, not, I mean, not in general, but when you're browsing, trying to search some content, usually you're reading the title, the summary, and then if something attracts your attention in the summary, then you go to methodology or directly to research, to results, and then later discussion conclusions. That is something that you're reading much later. So you need to have a clearly written. We have introduced, for example, structured summaries. We had structures, but then non-structures, and then return to structured summaries, because we are now having much better written summaries that can draw attention, and with using specific keywords, you can stand out. From the crowd. And I wanted also to say that, for example, we have introduced in our journal the option when you are submitting an online submission system to assign individual SDGs to your research, which is then later used for promotion, not only at the website but at social platforms as well. For that, we needed to contact UN SDG Publishers Compact, which we are signatory of. I would say like a set of 10 action points you can do as journal and publisher to be more aligned with SDGs. And since we are signatory, we were obliged to, of course, do the things which we are, we have 3 goals in focus, and we want to advocate for SDG related content, etc. So we asked them whether we can use their logo and whether we can use the SDGs logo to have it next to each article. And after revision of the examples that we sent them, they actually have granted us right to promote the content in that way. This is also very, very actually relevant. And there are some journals that are organizing special issues on SDG related topics. So you can, for example, Wiley journals are usually doing that. There are some journal collections from actually publisher collections from articles from different publishers that you can also apply for. That they usually have open call all the time, and I would say that be careful when choosing the journal because there are a lot of journals. Not all of them are of the best quality, and you should check the journal credentials, their editorial policy, published papers, see if they are cited or not. And there's a very nice tool. I guess that a lot of you heard about it, Think, Check, Submit, where you can check whether the journal you wish to submit to is ticking all the right boxes. So I would suggest that. I can share later. I have these links in one document, so we can send you all these links so you can explore yourself and use it later. So,
That would be wonderful.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
actually, we have a few questions coming in.
Oh, okay, great.
So yeah,
I
if
wasn't
you,
aware.
you
Oh,
would
yeah, I
like
know. I can see.
to.
Yeah, I can think how can we publish the article when there is no support from institution in terms of research facilities? Ooh, that is a difficult one. Yeah. Uh, I would say if there is an opportunity, try to collaborate with some other, to reach out to some other institutions, or if you are able to do it, or if you are you can do it, you can reach to institutions in other countries as well, because you need to know that science should be open and should be a collaboration, and there is always someone who will be very glad that you have approached them, their group. And I know some colleagues of mine who actually never knew the people they are working with today, and they just reach out. Oh, I found your, for example, LinkedIn is very good example. You can find there people working in the same field, try to connect to them, then chat a little bit, and then ask, okay, can we do something together? And that was actually the way the most of the collaborations at our faculty, because we are a small faculty of food technology and biotechnology. We have like 280 employees, of which I don't know. I think majority are, of course, researchers, but it's a small number. So you need to collaborate more. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. Yeah, there are find someone who's willing to work with you. You'll always find someone.
I'm sure that you have a lot of people here on the call, so I
Yeah,
guess some of
that's
them
a good place to start. Exactly. Just
some of them can perhaps reach you. Very low number of research are useful for people. Well, I wouldn't agree with that. I would say it depends what are you expecting, of course. But I think that problem is that sometimes scientists are writing articles for other scientists and are missing the opportunity to present their research in a way that even public will find useful. We can talk later about it, but actually there is a lot of movement which involves, for example, citizen science. It's a whole movement that involves general public to do research. So it should be interactive, it should be inviting, and of course not for example, basic sciences, they're always complaining, yeah, but we are basic sciences, we don't know how to be more attractive,
communicate.
how to communicate. But these are basic sciences are as the term says, base of everything. So it's also very relevant. I don't think that any research is not relevant. You just need to find an angle which is interesting enough and which is distinctive in some way, at least to some extent, from other researchers here, because we have a lot of research groups and a lot of publications, and there is saturation of information. You cannot absorb that much, so you need to be able to distinguish yourself.
Yeah, I think rather than the past, now there are so many journals and there's just so much of information overload. But I think for
Yeah,
the early career,
the pressure to publish or perish is still very on. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But
Sorry.
then that's the reviewers and everyone has to just look at that much more, and so it feels like it's not relevant. But I feel like you might be able to guide them as to how you actually are making an impact, or you can make an impact. Maybe some examples or of
Mhm.
how, some articles that you have come across, or some research has made a huge impact in the real world, or maybe some really
Yeah.
good communication skills driving policy.
Yes, I was thinking about, for example, there is a joint research center at the European Union. It's a science hub, and they actually have a team of researchers who are working on some goals which are relevant for determining European Union policies, and they actually cooperate with co-authors from. More than 3,200 organizations in 134 countries. I needed to write it down. And the most common countries for cooperation are, of course, the United States, Germany, and UK is always high on the list, and France and China. And most of this output is openly accessible. And what is interesting is how they are measuring their impact, and that is by counting citations in the European Union policy documents, which is very interesting way to do it. And they're doing case studies also of their work and monitoring media impact. I would say this is a very important issue because as we saw from the COVID crisis, there was a lot of communication, a lot of publications. There was a pressure to publish as soon as possible. Some journals, unfortunately, at the end retracted a lot of information. But this was a very good opportunity, although for the sad reasons, I would say, not that good reasons, yes, to collaborate between countries, and they were all working on the same goal to find a vaccine for COVID. And what was the thing that distinguished some researchers from others were actually the media presence. Unfortunately, it can go both ways. We had in Croatia one scientist who was against everything, which was decided at the national level, like guidelines. And he is an expert in some part, but not for the virus itself. So it was interesting to see how his way of communication on social networks, because the science communication is changing a lot, now it's moving to social networks and platforms. He was very active on Twitter and on Facebook, and he actually managed to drive the attention of the media to some uh, other ways of treating COVID, etc., which were not proven as efficient. So it was a shame because we wasted a lot of time ping ponging with, with playing ping pong with with the researchers who were trying to persuade people to be more aware of the importance of scientific research, but the media was like, pulling out things out of the context. So it's very important to be aware of that and to be able to present your research in media with the attitude. I know a lot of researchers who are very good in research and terrible in front of the camera. I had some experiences when we had our PubMed conference. It is a conference which we are organizing each year on publishing and metrics. Especially, we are promoting open science, and there were some very good speakers who later, when they were like interviewed for our national television, were like frozen completely. So the way you are communicating science is also very important.
Right.
I would say I was checking the other day. It was interesting to see since we have a lot of platforms like Mastodon, TikTok, blogs, podcasts, of course, YouTube videos, infographics, and I was checking how much followers on TikTok has Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's an famous astrophysicist. If someone is watching Big Bang Theory, it's a TV show about physicists, then they are always mentioning him, and he has 6 million followers on TikTok. But I was glad to see that Greta Thunberg, which she is a very famous Swedish activist and started at a very, very early age. She's 22 and still had, still very young and has an
Yes.
incredible impact on the public perception of environmental issues. She has 15 million followers. So
Wow.
there's something to consider. And there was actually we had at EASE and also at the Croatian Association for Scholarly Communication some education, some trainings and webinars about it. And it's always good. We have PR specialist who is promoting, for example, our conference. It's always good to have people who are skillful in this to help you, if it's possible, of course, to because it's a skill that can be used. If you're repeating something constantly, then you're getting better at it. So no one is good at the first, but later, then you are much better at it.
So we've closed the second poll. Let's take a look at some results and then
Yes,
we'll go
yes.
into
Sorry,
questions. I think.
just interrupt me if I'm talking too much.
No, this is really fun. Let's take a look.
Yeah, funding and infrastructure is always the biggest political or economic constraints. Yes, that is something with which we have to deal. Lack of information skills, just almost 18%, and lack of communication between stakeholders. It's actually, of course, lack of funding or infrastructure is always the biggest issue. Especially if you don't have, for example, open resources or finances to publish in open access to reach a wider audience, etc. If you're publishing in journals which have APCs, but of course there are other ways of publication. No support from the mentor, institution, employer. Yes, I would say that it's in some cases. It's For example, if you do it in Croatia, this poll, I think this answer will be much higher on the list. I think it's not because they don't want to support you, but that they are not sure how to support you. So yeah, we actually have conducted at EASE, Environment Sustainability Committee, we have conducted a survey among journal editors and publishers about the implementation of SDGs, awareness of our environmental manifesto, which is a set of recommendations for journal editors, how to reduce the environmental impact, and the SDG Publishers Compact, which I've mentioned before. And actually, the lack of awareness was one on the top of their answers as an obstacle to implement goals and targets of the SDGs. And it was also followed by the lack of actually support or infrastructure. But also one of the things which was high on the list was the lack of ways of how to monitor and track the progress. That is the reason why we developed SDG checklist tool for journals and publishers, which you can use. You can answer the questions related to each part of. There are some strategy. There is a strategic part about sustainability. There is a part about environment. There is a part about EDI principles. There is a part about communication, advocating for content, etc. So you can track your progress. You can do the baseline of your activities at the starting point, and then each year or each period, you can track the progress. So this is also a relevant way of finding tangible output that you can share with your, for example, if we are talking about journals, with your publisher, but if you are talking about researchers, with your funders. So you need to have some tools to monitor.
This is wonderful. And you will be sharing some links at the end of this,
I will
right?
be sharing the, yes, and this SDG checklist is available now. It's free to use. You just need to register, but for your own purposes. So you can have your own account. The data is only for you to monitor your progress. And it is just collected in alignment with the GDPR policy.
So Eva, before we go again to the questions, then I see a lot more questions have come. You did mention open access when you were looking at the poll, and we want to tell us a little bit about how journals are evolving to prioritize open access, especially in the climate and environmental sciences, but in all research.
Yeah, I would say it applies to all research.
Yes.
Well, the open access movement, it started like a beautiful idea. Science should be open to all. We should all have the same, so same way of approaching information, the same opportunities, etc. But unfortunately, as always, there are some constraints that arose later. The idea was to move from subscription-based journals, and which was limited. I remember when I was doing my final thesis, when I was studying, there was no internet. I'm very old, so no internet back then in Croatia, and the only source was were the journals in the libraries, but only those journals to which the libraries were subscribed to. So you needed to go to different libraries to have some different journals, so you can extract some data, so you can compare your results, which you, yeah, I was studying agricultural in the field of agricultural sciences, so I had some experimental results from the field study, and I needed to compare this. So this was not, something which you could done easily. It was not easily accessible. It was behind the paywall, and unfortunately, with no internet, it was very slow. But fortunately, internet has speed up the things. But also, there was a need to have more approach, to have more visibility for your research, and the open access started as a good way of enabling this. But unfortunately, there are some costs in publishing. So if you don't have, like, not selling subscription to the journals, you should find a way how to finance your journal. Unfortunately, some journals have transferred this burden to the researchers by charging APCs. And since there are some research organizations and funders, especially the European levels, who are against that, the publicly funded research should be later paid to be published, because it's like you're paying twice for the same thing. And the authors are giving their research results to journals for free, and the peer reviewers are mainly volunteers. So you are wondering, why are they charging this, and you are doing everything for free. So the Coalition S, which is the group of these funders at an European level, has formed the Plan S, which is actually advocating, among other things, for Diamond Open Access, which is without APCs. And they are in charge of DIAMAS. They are coordinating DIAMAS project. I am part of one of the groups who it's called Special Interest Group on Best Practices at the Operas community, which has developed a set of Diamond Open Access standards for the journals, and DOAS self-assessment tool, which you can use to check whether you are aligned with high quality editorial best practices, etc. And there are things which are related to your organization and publisher that needs to be taken care of, and there are some things that you can do as the journal editor. But still they are struggling. There is one special interest group which is developing these business models, and still they are struggling to find the doable way of financing journals in Diamond Open Access. Our Croatian Association for Scholarly Communication was actually established due to the changes in the finances by the Ministry of Science and Education and Sports at that time in 2019. And it actually switched from like a public call for all the journals, which were evaluated according to the quality criteria. They were not perfect, but they were at least transparent. And now they are switching to publishing to funding publishing by institution at the institutional level via program funding, which is not perfect because institutions are receiving grants for all the activities. So you can imagine that the journal publishing is low on the on the list of priority. And some of the associations which are the publishers of the journals, can apply for some grants, but these amounts of support are very low. So this was the main reason why we are advocating for the change, to find some suitable business model. So there is a lot of changes on the open access scene, and I hope that these changes will be for the better for all And I was mentioning this also SDG checklist tool that we developed, but there are also some other institutions like STM, this International Association of Scientific, Technical, and Medical Publishers, who developed SDG roadmap, which is also something you can use to track your progress on SDGs as a publisher. And there are like 3 levels from basic ones, which you can use to start focus on SDGs and implement it in your practices, and then later advocate and promote actively content. And they recently released level 3, which is about advancing SDGs together, as they called it. So about collaboration. So we are constantly moving back to collaboration, as you can see.
Yes, definitely. I
what,
mean,
what are the most interesting questions
yeah,
you
let's take a look at the questions. I
yeah?
think, there are
Well,
lots.
they're all interesting, but what
Yes.
stand out?
So,
I'm not sure where we have because it's all going up in one thread, so I'm
yes.
kind of
How can
lost. You can read something in.
I'll pick one. How can early career researchers contribute to policy change, even if they're not directly connected to government or policy institutions?
Oh yeah, well. There is for example, there are some associations. For example, in our field, European Food Safety Authority is always looking for people who will act as experts on panels, and they will do some work on some research with it. For example, if we are talking about some new food additive or something that needs to be tested before reaching some consensus what should be the limitations at the national level. So it's about policy, and you can be also on that panel as an expert. And for example, in European Union, if you are actually trying to you need to declare a new act, or for example, we had now recently a discussion about research advancement criteria. They need to have like a public consultation. There is an open call for all. You don't need to be researcher. You can be actually, like a concerned citizen, and then you can put your input into it's like a form, online form, and they actually consider that during evaluation. Of course, not all things are taken into account, but at least you can try to have some influence on that. So these are the major things and you can do. You can of course always be included in some panel discussions. This is we organized a lot of panel discussions with all with the we especially like early career researchers, because they always have some fresh point of view, and some of course it's more challenging for them because still needs to be acknowledged, and sometimes they are being pushed over by some senior scientists. So these are always good things to see whether you can be included in some kind of association. In our EASE association is also doing a lot of work for promoting initiatives that affect the policies. So you can join associations such as these and also do some work in their special interest group or committees. So it's all actually it's all up to you. It's always something you can find to work on, and to some people are writing blogs, and then they're receiving a lot of comments, and someone from the government. We had a lot of these situations that actually government was referring to some data from the blogs of some scientists. So this also very very relevant. There's always someone who will read it. So you must.
It's such an optimistic outlook, Eva, because I see many questions from, people doing masters or doing research, and some from, countries where they feel that they're not being supported. And so there are a lot of questions coming regarding that. And I think reaching out and joining organizations outside your research group or your institution will give you better exposure and a chance to
Yes,
actually
yes,
gain so much
definitely.
from the collaboration.
I
We
I
have,
can. I can tell you from the point of like when I was junior editor, it was editorial assistant. I was like working like crazy all the time on the laptop and not seeing anyone, not having any calls, etc. It was very solitary work, I must say. But then I joined the EASE association in 2014, and everything like opens up, and I was like, wow, there are a lot of people who know so many things. I learned a lot from all of them, actually, from all the people who were not only in the lead in the council, but also leading groups and having discussions at the forum, etc. So actually, like it's opened up so many windows for me. And I must say, if I was stuck still at the same level, which I have some colleagues who are still doing things the way I did in 2014, for example, there will be no movement, no upgrades for me. So you always need. It's like when someone tells me that their work is boring. You can always find an angle which is interesting. It's not like
Yeah.
you just sat here. I actually. Perhaps my background is kind of different. I'm coming from the line of scientist, but when I was in high school, the education system was like that you needed to like have like a summer like experiment or practice in some laboratory or in some factory. So I was waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning, going to the factory, doing some work which was not very intellectual in nature, but I always found a nice angle how to do it. And actually I was quite good at this. So so yeah, you can still, even if you are working in a factory, you can still find something which is
Yes.
exciting and interesting and which triggers your
And it's never too
motivation.
late, and life is a work in progress, right? So you're just
Yeah,
always, don't feel stuck. It's She said it so well,
don't
just
feel stuck. That you,
get to
you
know
should not be disappointed. You
Yeah.
should not give up. You should reach out and be bold, be courageous, because you have something to offer, I'm sure, each one of you. So don't be afraid to open yourself to the world and to the other researchers. That is why, for example, open science is very good, and I would always advocate for open peer review, because it will help not to show identities of the reviewers. I'm thinking about comments or commentary, because it is a way so we can learn from others and see where you perhaps missed something which was relevant to say. So there are a lot of nice things to which you can engage in. Yeah.
Definitely. So I'm going to ask you one more question, and then we can, just maybe we can look at the poll results as well.
Okay,
So,
yes, yes,
yeah. So
definitely.
I think let's look at the poll results first, because a lot of
Yes.
the questions are matching this third poll. They're about all the struggles that people
Mhm.
may face and in bridging the gap.
So we have still we already have results. Oh, that's good.
Yes, we do. That's great.
Let's see, more collaborative platforms. Yeah, better communication between policymakers and researchers. That is that is always that is always something. I must say, because I'm as a president of this Croatian Association for Scholarly Communication, I'm very struggling to find someone from the ministry to discuss with me some things, not only with me, of course, with all of us, because we are like a board of experts in different fields who are trying to persuade the government to change the position. I would say, yes, this is very important. Unfortunately, it goes both ways. So you can be a very good communicator, but the policymakers are not, they have some different agendas. Politics is always. I don't know. They're always saying you don't see the big picture. I can admit that perhaps this is true, but I think that they should also see our side of, our view. More collaborative platforms. That is something which needs to be worked upon, because. I think there are a lot of opportunities, but perhaps they are not announced or making, transparently enough about the possibilities. So perhaps, because I'm working in some communities which are very close and everyone feels that it's very open, but it's actually not. I'm sometimes feeling like I'm in some kind of circle of people who are just knowing each other. So yeah, the collaborative platforms are a good way. Training researchers in policy communication, that's one thing which we tackled, and easier access to scientific data for policymakers. Yes. I think that they have a lot of access, but unfortunately, not all of them are reading it.
This is great. How do you think we can better support underrepresented voices in environmental research? So both in publishing and in policy consultation.
Yes, yeah, that's one of the things which we are trying to educate people. We also have some several committees working. Actually, we had a committee which was called Gender Policy Committee, which prepared in his SAGER guidelines about sex and gender equity in research, and they developed a checklist for the researchers to use when you are actually doing research on humans or on animals, to raise the awareness of the fact to not only include in your search data which is relevant, not only about the sex and gender. Later it became the Equity, Diversity and Inclusion Committee, which developed a survey and recently published the results of the survey in the European Science Editing Journal, which is the journal of the association. And they actually they were doing the survey among its members and sister societies, and most of them were experienced journal editors, so they were aware of the SAGER guidelines, but they didn't endorse SAGER formally, so they needed more resources, policy documents, guidelines. So we are always trying to find some way to provide more details about that. So inclusivity, be more inclusive, include all the data you need. Of course, collaboration, which we mentioned, to reduce barriers. Of course, open access is, special diamond open access is very good way. You can support non-English speakers. For example, we have our language editor who is working in our journal and very working hard with authors to get to the level for publishing. You can also encourage open peer review, which I mentioned, or double anonymized, for example, because you reduce biases. This is one thing. For example, inclusive and non-biased language. This needs education. Actually, if you're non-English speaker, I'm not a native English speaker, so it's always sometimes hard for me to detect whether something is inclusive and unbiased or not. And there was an interesting presentation at the conference in Oslo in May about GRIS. These are guidelines for reporting intersectional analysis in science and technology. That is the way of reporting data which is relevant, like an intersection of race, gender, ethnicity, etc. And it was interesting to see that one of the researchers who was doing this was a large research group, developed a face app that didn't recognize her face because she was a female and of darker skin. So this was very interesting because her own product was not recognizing herself. So you need to be aware and to reach out and to include more people from global south, from different origins, backgrounds, races, genders, etc. And always consider this in your research as well.
So we have only a couple of minutes left, Eva.
Yeah,
If you
the time flew by, I must say.
on very fast, if you can share those links in the chat, so our so the audience can
I would prefer, if it's possible, if you have a list of participants, registered participants, to send you in an email to send them,
that is
because there are a
perfect.
lot of links, so they'll
Yes,
be lost in chat. So I think it
that's
will be
fine.
much better to send them later with thank you notice. So thank you all.
Yeah,
Sorry for not replying to all the questions, but Radhika, you can share if you are saving the chat. You can share those which we didn't tackle, and I can answer them in email
that would be
along
wonderful.
with the links. So I hope we challenge you to think more about the SDGs and how to relate your research to that. And hope to see you soon at the next event.
Thank you so much, Eva. We thank the audience for being here from all over the world, and we are very excited to have you here in a very interactive session. We hope you
Yeah,
enjoyed it.
thank you.
Really,
You were great public. I was reading in the chat, both in questions in the Q&A section. You're very engaged, and I'm very proud of you all because you're very not only engaged and very aware. That's great. Thank you all, and it was so nice to spend some time with you. Looking forward to the next opportunity.
thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.